Ravens Steelers. I got a real PFF stat here for you, Carmen. You ready for it?
Ooh, okay.
All right. I got into our database and I started throwing on some filters and I tried to figure it out.
Okay.
Because my matchup that matters here is Lamar Jackson versus Mike Tomlin specifically. Over the
Okay.
last 5 years, so from 2019 to 2023, because they have not played yet this year. So from 2019 to 2023, Lamar has just one game against the Pittsburgh Steelers where he has graded above a 53.0 as a passer. That was week 5 in 2023. Now, that was an elite PFF grade, and so kudos to Lamar for that. But of the other games he has, he's got 3 other games. It's 4 total because he's missed a handful of them due to injury and just him not being out there. So he's got that one game where he graded elite. He has one grade where he was held to a below 40 PFF grade by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the other 2 are in the low 50s. It's a 51 and I think a 52.3. His 60.6 passing grade versus the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 5 years is the lowest passing grade that Lamar has cumulatively had against any team in the NFL outside of the Kansas City Chiefs. The only team that plays Lamar better than the Pittsburgh Steelers do is the Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo. And so I am really looking forward to this chess matchup between a player who seems to be so unstoppable every week, no matter who he goes up against, and one of the very few coaches that can actually say that he has had Lamar's number more than the other way around. So that's the matchup that matters to me, is just the next episode in the next chapter of what Mike Tomlin is going to do in how he tries to frustrate Lamar Jackson, because I think it's been a little bit different every time. Obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers do a lot of things with their front 4. They're very comfortable getting after with 4, but sometimes they'll throw some extra blitzes in there. Sometimes they'll play a little bit more aggressive in coverage. They have to keep Lamar guessing because he keeps defenses guessing. So you can't just sit on your heels. Mike Tomlin knows that. He's got the horses to win the race, and he has done that before against Lamar. I cannot wait to see what he has in store this time, because Lamar, as we have said before, is playing some of the best ball that he has ever played, especially as a passer. So Mike Tomlin versus Lamar Jackson, that is my matchup that matters.
Dude, Mike Tomlin's so good at this because he got up on the podium and people were like, a reporter had likened Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson. And Mike Tomlin goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Be very slow with comparing somebody to Lamar. That is Mr. Jackson. And will be addressed as a multi-time MVP. That is Mr. Jackson to you. And yeah, dude, he has every right to pump up Lamar because Lamar is that dude. He is Mr. Jackson. But no mention of the fact that Tomlin is one of the best to game plan against Lamar, has been the most effective against Lamar. He's going to just keep pumping him up and keep saying how good he is. And that way it's going to make it that much sweeter if and when he shuts him down. Mike Tomlin is playing chess while the rest of everybody else is playing checkers. I love to see it.
He is.
I'm going with a little bit more. I mean, I guess a little bit more of an obvious one, although I guess that one is really overarching. But I loved looking at Lamar Jackson through the years against Mike Tomlin. This specific game, though, Lamar Jackson is going to have something that he's never had against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's Derrick Henry. So it's this
very true
offense. This Baltimore rushing offense, and I don't just say Derrick Henry, I mean their rushing offense with Lamar, because Lamar looks like he could eclipse 1,000 rushing yards this year on top of 4,000 passing yards, which is something he's never done before either. The rushing offense versus the Steelers' run D. The Ravens have the most rushing first downs, tied with the Eagles, and the Steelers' run defense, 4th best EPA per play allowed. So they're very, very good at this, and the Ravens are very, very good at this. Who is going to win out in Pittsburgh too? I'm so excited to see how this all materializes and how Mike Tomlin decides to deal with this rushing attack in general that, again, now includes Derrick Henry, the best runner of the football in the league.
I'll flip to the other side of things because my plus factor is George Pickens, because it feels like it has been ever since Russell Wilson was installed into the lineup. Pickens on throws of 20 or more yards. He's got 11 catches, which is first in the league, 370 yards, which is second in the league. And he's going up against a Ravens secondary that in single coverage, they've allowed the 6th most receiving yards in single coverage and the 2nd most catches for a first down. And so that is a strength versus weakness kind of a thing. And we've sort of picked on the Ravens secondary throughout the season, but this is another matchup where Russell Wilson in the moon ball, especially with a guy like George Pickens on the other side of it, is going to matter a lot. So Pickens has been hot since Russ has been installed into the lineup, and this is really what it is. It's a lot of it's kind of like what the Philadelphia Eagles are wanting to do, right? They're a ground and pound type of a team. They want to run the football really well, and then when they pass, they want to take their shot plays deep down the field. It feels like that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted as their offensive identity, and they weren't able to do that as well as they wanted with Justin Fields. I think the run game was better with Fields, but they weren't able to be that shot play team in the passing game as well as they have been with Russell Wilson. So to me, the guy on the other side of that in George Pickens is my plus factor in this one.
Yeah, and I think you also have to factor in Mike Williams into something like that, given the fact that clearly Russell Wilson trusts him right off the bat, and it's warranted with some of those throws to the outside, those long balls. That's exactly the type of player that Mike Williams is, and clearly him and Russ are on that train. But I really want to see if on the other side of things, if Diontae Johnson can get something going against his former team. He's been relatively quiet for the Ravens, and when you think about their passing attack, which has been so incredibly good with Lamar Jackson, like I said, he's on pace for almost 4,000 yards this year, and for all intents and purposes should get it. And just, I mean, his production is wild. We've talked so ad nauseum about how he's playing better football than he did last year, which was his second MVP year. But can Diontae Johnson, facing his former team, kind of get that little spark? He has one catch so far in this Ravens offense. I know like Zay Flowers is going to be kind of a factor, and I think that that's what Diontae Johnson has done, is open things up a little bit for Zay Flowers in the receiving game. But can you kind of target him a little bit more, give him a little bit more of that? Can you play with your food a little bit against a division opponent? I just think that would be fun to get Diontae Johnson a little bit more involved in this game plan, especially when Mike Tomlin was kind of like dismissive a little bit of, he was like, oh yeah, I know Diontae Johnson, we don't need to talk about him. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I think
people were saying it was a shot. Maybe it was a subtle shot. I didn't think it was
like
that
subtle.
much,
I don't know if yeah, you're right. I don't know if it really was, but it was still, obviously that's going to get brought up, and it's a guy that you know well. So I'm just very interested to see if they can kind of, score and be productive at will at this point, the Ravens side of things in the passing game, and include Diontae Johnson.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can come one today.